new deputy director. Doesn't he look good?
Yeah.
Well, we just-
shirts and ties.
He just came to his first cabinet meeting, and I have to lose my tie somewhere between there. And we appointed Terry Newell as the Region 3 director. She spent 10 years on Mountain View Corridor, so some pretty significant changes in the department. But we have two items that we have on the agenda for staff update that will be in front of the commission tomorrow. One of them is the State Infrastructure Bank, the SIB. And we had an application submitted in our last meeting by Veda. And we've received another application subsequent to that from Falcon Green. And I think Shane and Bill are gonna tag team on this. We just wanted to provide an opportunity to have a discussion. There's a couple of issues that came up. We have commission guidelines on how we're gonna monitor the state infrastructure. They did not anticipate a rapidly changing interest rate like we've experienced in the last several months, almost 2 percentage points. And so we've got items on the agenda to actually document when we're gonna take a snapshot of that interest rate. And we wanted to just talk about that, and we have a proposal. And we also wanted to talk about a proposal to how we would deal with the Vineyard Connection application, since they've done everything and proceeded with the idea of the interest rate when they apply. And so with that, Shane, are you starting, or are you gonna turn?
I'm gonna turn the time to Bill.
Okay, first thing I want to show you is on this sheet right here has the red writing on it. This is the State Infrastructure Bank guidelines that we follow. When we were going through these applications, we noticed there wasn't a very defined time frame that says, okay, here's when the interest rate's going to be applied. And so this recommendation is just a change to make that to be at the date of commission approval. That way it's a very set time frame. So, and the reason why that date, we've had applications that have come in that have never continued. We've had some that have come in early, then sat for a while before they decided to act on them. And so we felt like this would just be a good date to set from here on out. So any questions on that?
Well, the question I have is, will it says will be the current rate. Does that mean it's the current market rate? Or does that mean it will be set by the commission at the time when it's approved?
Explain how you get the rate, Bill.
The way I get the rate, maybe I have that email here. I'm gonna shrink this real quick. What I do is where'd my folder go? That's right, I'll just tell you. What I do is I send an email to the state treasurer and ask him what the current rate is for a GO bond. And that's the rate that we've been setting these at. And so depending on the term length, I send the email, I get a response back, says here's what our current rate is. And that's what we've been setting them at.
General obligation.
So these additional amounts based on the term of the loan
Are added on
will
to
still
that.
apply.
Yes.
But it's the basic rate that's fluctuating
Yep.
and therefore you have to catch it on the day that everything comes together.
It's similar to like if you were closing on a house or something.
Does
I'm sorry.
this not give the commission the ability to lower or raise the rate?
The rate is set by commission, right, Linda?
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
the commission, when they were formulating these guidelines, came up with this process of getting the general obligation bonds
Right.
as the way to establish some kind of consistency.
So my question would be, what I'm hearing the commissioner say is, could there be some flexibility here to do it differently, or have a discussion
Well, that's part of the reason I raised this is because on this particular one.
Right.
Because the rate has been increased 2% in the last little while.
Right.
When we were on the phone with Jeff yesterday, we talked about maybe not taking it
Right.
the entire distance and negotiating with Vineyard some increase over what they anticipated in May, but maybe not the entire distance that is present in the marketplace today.
And that's really the second item on the state infrastructure bank we wanted to talk about.
Okay.
We feel since we haven't been clear on this, Vineyard was going down a path that, you know, we changed, the world got changed on them. So that this change here, our recommendation would be not to apply that to the Vineyard situation. The commission has that
Right,
flexibility.
right.
And what we talked about with Commissioner Millington is, should we go with the rate of when they applied and everything, all the work that they've put forward? Or should we split the baby, essentially? And what we did is we asked Bill, was it Bill or Shane to contact?
Bill.
Bill
Bill's
to
been
contact
talking with him.
Vineyard. What was Vineyard's reaction to the split the baby?
I didn't get a response back from them. I actually sent an email and said, here's, you know, the interest rate would be set at the commission, but it's not set in stone yet, then I didn't get a response back.
So that all the other commissioners will understand, going with the current rate versus the rate 2 months ago would cost about $1.8 million in additional interest costs to the city of Vineyard.
If you look at your next sheet, I've got some breakdowns. And then just for comparison, I found a 10-year treasury note to show how it's been increasing over time, which is similar
Right.
to what that'd be. When we first started our discussion with Vineyard, we didn't know what the term was going to be at that point. Even when they came to apply, we didn't know if they were gonna go for the 10 years. And so the first one would have been a 5-year note, and that would have been the 1.78%. Then once we found out that it was gonna be a 10-year note, then we've got on July 3rd, we got the 3.56, and that's when I was told that it's really climbing. You can see where it's climbed from May up into mid-July where that has been, and now it's actually, at least according to this one, which is similar to the Go Bond rates, probably has settled off a little bit, but I don't know if it's happened back up again today. You know, that's the thing, it's very volatile, so I thought the best would be a fixed date for the guidelines. But for this one, I went back and looked at what it would have been if it would have been a 10-year note, and would have been at 2%, so if you add the 1% to that, because it's a 10-year, based off the guidelines, that would have brought it to 3. So it's not as extreme from the 1.78, but it's from 3 to 3.56.
So when we were talking the 1.78.
It was a 5-year term.
It was a 5-year, okay, all right.
And so I included them all in here just so you can see what the impacts were. You can see the payments per period, what that would be, and then what the total interest to pay on those notes would be over the term.
But it would still be, even on a 10-year term, it's still $500,000.
Oh, yeah, it's very substantial. So,
What- You didn't ask me, so I'll offer my opinion.
Linda, what do you think?
You would have given us your opinion first anyhow.
Because I remember working on the original statutory language that developed the infrastructure loan and run the bills and have made some modifications later. Maybe what you want to do is to be able to say that the commission will consider the current market rate at the time that the loan is approved. And if you just say, instead of saying will be, will consider, and that way you would have some flexibility to say,
Yes.
we're gonna do
I like
something
that.
different
Yeah.
because of extraordinary circumstances here.
Yeah, at least we're using current market rates as a guideline, and then we can set the rate.
Right.
Well, and it kind of says that up here, though. It
Says may.
Following
The may.
guidelines of the commission may use.
Yeah.
May, but down
May.
here you said the interest rate applied
Right,
will
so
be.
it kinda-
be.
It kind
And
of
that kind
conflicts
of-
each other.
yeah.
I think that's a good suggestion if the commissioners
we're
are
all
comfortable with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
As long as you're
I
happy.
certainly.
And I think the conversation we had with Jeff was open and flexible on this as well.
Yes. The other thing on this one, I don't know, Carlos, if we want to bring this up, but I think it's an important data point. The legislature actually funded, what was it, $20 million?
$20 million into the SIP.
Into the SIB with this project specifically in mind. And so the funds are available specifically for this project. And we felt like, given that, we probably ought not use the higher interest rate. You know, we ought to be at least considerate of the interest rate swing that's happened in the last 2 months, simply because the legislature has made this money available and indicated, you know, it's really going in here for this project.
The initial discussions, the thought was this, the loan request would be in the $13 million range. So it's a little higher than I expected.
Right.
But I think they've probably refined the project more, Bill.
Yeah, it started out at 14.5, what is the first number I saw, and now we're at what, 16.1?
16.1.
Yeah. So I do have just you have this little diagram that's kind of hard to see.
Before we move to the actual application, so we're comfortable with, and the commission's comfortable with the May statement in that red text there?
I'm gonna change B to consider.
To consider?
The
Okay.
interest, the commission will consider the current interest rate at the time that the loan is approved.
That's what I'll do.
Okay.
Eddie, were you
Okay
okay with that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So tomorrow, the verbiage is gonna be like this in, so we'll have to have a change to make the approval, to make that change.
Well, we can hand out
We can make out a new one then.
let's
we can
make
consider.
up a new one.
Do you have the Word file? It'll be changed when you get back from tour.
I've got it, yeah.
Just email it to Judy and I'll have her change it.
Well, we just have to note, and if we can get that done and change the wording, we can do it. If not, whoever makes the motion
With the change in the
can be
wording.
sure that the wording in the motion reflects the will consider.
Okay. I just wanna show you, this is Vineyard, this is the work that they're proposing to do with the loan. I'm gonna see if I can get this to work.
I think we have a little map here too, Bill.
You have a little map as well. Oh, didn't want to do that. I'm gonna spin this around so we're facing southbound.
And don't get your directions messed up, because this group will never let you know. They'll let you down, let you forget it. Goodness.
So what they're doing is
Exactly.
Let me shut these off, these two off.
Stuart commented yesterday on it.
This,
Oh, is that right?
this red line, which is also on your sheet, is the rail line that they'd be removing. And so it parallels Geneva Road, and where it benefits the state the most is right at this intersection right here.
No, you went back.
Went back up to
Right
8.
there, 52, intersection of 52.
52, because they're looking to come across this. It also crosses
Crosses there.
right here as well, and that would be removed. And then it just goes past this.
That one at Fourth?
And one at Fourth.
Yeah.
So this one is also removed.
And it keeps us from having to build a bridge on the Vineyard Connector.
Right.
So a little background, we have an environmental document that outlines the corridor for the Vineyard Connector project. And the purchasing right away up and down the corridor. We approached UP about this crossing just parallel to Geneva Road, and they said, you have to go grade separate. So our first thought was, how do you put a bridge there? It's very, very difficult to raise either 8th North or raise Geneva Road to get that grade separate. So we wanted to move the rail line. So we went down the path of starting to have discussions with UP about moving the rail line. And then talks kind of just dissolved into nothingness, and
It was expensive.
it was about $16.1 million. So we stopped with discussions with UP, but the developer and Vineyard Town continued those. After this last session, Vineyard approached us about them moving the rail line on their dollar with using the loan, but them paying us back. And then we build the road that we would have normally. So the benefit to us is, we were going to spend in that $14–12 million range to move the lines, but now Vineyard's going to do it for us. So,
Well, they probably like that better because it puts them in control, doesn't it?
Yeah.
they like it, they get
Yes.
this, yep, they get.
If I were them, that's what I would want.
They get the whole property.
And
the
their
whole
RDA,
length.
their RDA is gonna be paying it back.
Sure.
The other things that they're doing to make the rail work for them is they're adding this green line here. I'm gonna do the other one too at the same time. I'll do all of them. This purple line will come across here. It'll split. One will go that direction, one will go, this allows them to go both directions on this, the line
Still
that's further
serve their
west.
customers.
Still serve, and then they would add this trunk line here that would allow them to service, I forgot it's have a plant is right there.
Nitrogen?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, nitrogen.
Nitrogen plus, yeah.
Yeah, their customers south of there are all no longer receive service, so they just need to provide service to the nitrogen plant and everything to the north. So they have been working with the developer to acquire that property where that purple line sits. And I think they have finally gotten to the point where that property is identified and exchange is happening. So this 16 million is just to take the tracks and take them off that parallel line and build the new tracks out to the west.
Well, Shane, just asking this question is crazy, but is there a better way than what they've got here? If money was no object, is there a better way?
I don't think so, Danny.
It seems like it's pretty good to me.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good solution for everyone.
Yeah.
We don't have a track that parallels Geneva Road any longer.
Yeah.
If we need to widen, we don't have to move the track. It takes out 3 grade separated crossings.
Yeah, it seems like that's a real big winner for us.
Pushes you pretty close to the lake too.
In fact, the property from the track towards Geneva Road was dedicated through congressional action and really needs to stay in a transportation purpose. So, I'm pretty sure the developer is gonna be looking to try to leverage some of that land. But they can't put it into a development, it has to be in a transportation.
It's going to Vineyard Town, and Vineyard is very, very, very protective of it. If we do need to widen in the future, they're gonna want some reimbursement for that cost, but it does have to stay in a transportation use. They're gonna put a trail there for now, until, and if and when we need it. So it's, I think from my perspective, it's a win-win for everybody.
Seems pretty good.
Is the bus here?
No. He's here, he just can't find us.
Call him, call. Is he gonna be able to get us on our right?
Yeah, I was gonna-
Yeah, I guess that's the UVU's already building the field.
Oh, yeah.
UVU's underway building all the 4 soccer fields, and it's looking really good. I was there 2 days ago.
intramural
Yeah,
fields for
and
UVU.
they're building it right now, and it's really coming along well.
And Vineyard, the Vineyard Connector Road, it connects, there's a future transit stop out there as well for front runner. So potentially, long-term, you could park, if you wanna go to UVU, you could park here, jump on the train, and get down to UVU and cross over. Kind of helps with UVU parking, it helps with their access to their intramural fields.
The other thing is, we also have the funds to build that road going westbound from 8th North across through that heavy black line between the 2 UVU green sections there. We've already been granted the funds, what is it, 14 million or something like that? 12 million to build that road. But it wasn't nearly enough to build the road and to get rid of the railroad. So we delayed building the road because we didn't know how to get across the tracks. Now this solves that problem. Then we can build this road out there to get access to these soccer fields and intramural fields that UVU is building out there.
This is a very good partnership between the department and Vineyard. They're coming up with almost half the cost of this first phase of the project.
Yeah.
It is the longest loan we've had, right, Bill?
Longest and biggest.
Yeah, the largest and the longest.
And the smallest will be, the smallest and longest will be the next one.
Yeah.
Want to talk about Fountain
I
Green?
can talk about that. I don't have any handouts on that. Fountain Green is looking to do some pavement work in their city. They're looking to do some chip seals in their area. They're looking to get $100,000 to do that work within their city. Payback over 10 years. I put them at the rate that I received when I emailed Richard Ellis, the state treasurer, which is at 3.56. They're aware that a chip seal may not last for the full term of the loan. I talked to them about that, and they said they were fine with that. I don't know what else to say on that one. It's pretty straightforward.
We did have a discussion about making them aware of the CIP.
And they are.
They are.
They're actually pursuing that as well.
They're doing both.
So if we approve this one and they get better terms and whatever with the other one, then we can just
Yep, back away.
back away from it. Good. But at least it gives them an opportunity to move forward, because they're wanting to do that this year, right?
This fall.
This fall.
Now, do you expect Fountain Green to be there, Bill?
No, they talked about it and
Did they finally say no? When I talked to them, they were leaning towards coming.
the way he sounded, he said if I could cover it, he doesn't wanna come. I said I can cover it, so.
The reason I mentioned that, because they did want to include a piece of equipment, and that's not allowed.
So that's been taken out.
That's been taken out.
Okay. So is the request still 100?
Still 100 though.
Bill, what?
Because the interest rate.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about for interest rate?
Three, 5, 6. 3.56. You know, the initial
They're so
conversation,
poor, we ought to tie it into this other one and get them better, I mean, really.
they would be happy.
I'll bet they'd be happy. I mean, they've got nothing over there. It's worse than Fairview. I mean,
It's
financially, seriously.
Yeah.
They have land days. I'm sure that brings in.
And that's this weekend, that's why he's not coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's probably playing.
Oh, you can't miss that.
You're an old softy, aren't you, Eddie?
Well, I'm just trying to take care of these poor people, I'm serious.
I don't blame you for trying. I think it's a good idea myself, but I'm just gonna ride the wave here and see
Yeah,
what the rest of them do. I don't have a problem with doing that, by the
Something to
way.
be
I would
considered
love
is
to see that happen.
We
This
make
poor
a great big
town.
loan for 10 years, one interest rate, and at the same time, we approve
Exactly.
another one at a different interest rate. I think maybe we ought to use the same interest rate, very honestly.
I would agree.
Man, I'm glad I brought that up.
Yeah, I'm glad you did too, because it didn't make
I really-
sense.
I think it's-
Yeah, I think that's.
I'd hate to punish them just because they're only borrowing $100,000.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that.
If that
And that way we
works,
can
Bill,
get back
do
to it
it.
and say, hey, we're taking care of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about what that rate's going to be today, or do you want to have that conversation?
Because you see, the thing about Vineyard is, they put their foot, when did these guys put their foot in the door? Because this is really their first formal submission here of an application.
Yeah, it was after the last commission meeting, so, I don't know.
Was in May.
June, in
Wasn't
June-ish.
the mayor out there in the berm?
Well,
That
no,
was
they,
Vineyard.
No, this Vineyard.
that was Vineyard.
That was Vineyard.
Fountain Green really hasn't come in front of the commission yet.
Okay.
First of July.
That's the difference.
Yeah, it is a difference, but we still have that latitude.
Yeah, we do.
I'd really like to see us do that if we can.
If we can wiggle that around and not break any rules, I think we ought to consider it seriously.
I think what the commission ought to do is have that discussion.
Okay.
And if you want to go down that path, you have that discussion and you can do it.
So the range of options are 3% to 3.56%.
They can consider anything, really. But
They
I
can
think
go
that's-
below that.
That's what it would have been, in between those two dates, between May and now, is 3 and 3.56.
Okay.
So the low would be 3%.
Yeah,
That's 1% above
yes.
The
That's
rate.
general-
the rate.
general.
Yeah.
Well, that still saves them some money.
It will,
It
let's say
saves
some.
them. In a little community like that could make a
Big deal.
considerable difference for them, meeting their requirements.
Is that the rate that we also put on the Vineyard?
That's what we would do with Vineyard. Mhm.
I think we ought to be consistent. I think what we apply to one, tomorrow we apply to both.
I think that's.
I think that's what we ought to do.
Do I hear 2%?
Well, commissioners, do you want
Let's roll
to,
the dice again.
do you want us to, how would you like us to present this? Would you like us to present it with that idea in mind, or do you want to make this a commission discussion and decisions? So, we could present it as, when the vineyard was applied, it was at, it would have been 3%. Today with the change, it's 3.56. And we could have a discussion about, setting this, but that we want to do them both at when Vineyard applied.
I would think that you make the presentation on the basis of 3%.
Okay, we could do that?
And we come to that based on when they first applied, plus the 1% for the length of the term, and it comes to 3%. And we consider that, and then for Fountain Green, we simply say,
We did these guys?
we did these guys the same rate, we propose that it be accepted at 3% rather than a higher rate.
So Bill, can you prepare the paperwork for that change, and then we'll just hand out the new paperwork and say, we'd like to make a change. and we'll present it like that.
Will either of the other two commissioners be with us tomorrow?
Meg will be on the phone for a period of time, and depending on whether or not folks interested in West Davis quarter turn out or not, will be dependent if she's still on the call at this
I'll
time.
be surprised if they don't.
But if they do, it'll be a long commission meeting.
Can I propose then tomorrow we talk, the two loans first, and then put this out, to change to the guidelines? So that let's get the loans knocked off, and then change the guidelines to reflect future direction.
Kent, I think it flows better that way, and if we do that, you're gonna have to make a motion, you're gonna have to ask for a motion to amend the agenda, change the order. Okay. So somebody needs to probably make that for Kevin.
Everybody in agreement to change the order?
Do you understand first? So we do the
I
long.
understand, I'm not sure what you gained.
Well, I think what Shane's coming from is, we go through and we change the guidelines, and the first thing we do is make an exception to it.
Yeah,
So-
but you're saying will be considered.
Yeah.
We'll consider, I
We'll
mean, I think
consider,
there's enough
so-
wiggle room there, because.
I do too, I think it's a good test for it, so I'm not sure what you
Well,
really
if
gained.
it's gonna take commission action, why can't we just leave it like it is and go right through it, don't you think?
That's what I think, but.
The discussion with the commission can be, here's the adoption of the guidelines, we will consider it, and then when you do these loans, say that we consider the current rate, but we're making an exception
Because of this application
because of
and
these
benefit,
factors.
we're gonna do this.
Right, we're making the exception.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay.
After all, it's the people's money you're saving too.
Yeah, it's all the same people.
Yeah, it's all, it ain't like it coming out of our pockets.
It's all the same people.
Yeah, I know, but you can spend it or you can save it.
Right or wrong, our mechanic is gonna come put coolant in this bus.
What?
So we go. So we just gotta wait, they're running over right now, they'll be here in 1 minute.
That's music to our ears, coolant.
The first bus, the batteries died on it, they were just finishing servicing this, topping off the coolants and
I think I hate to see what this
running them
bus
out
is.
right now, and I don't wanna get stranded, so my mechanic's gonna come over, top it all off.
Yeah,
You have a
should your
follow-up?
mechanics follow us?
Okay, I can have that.
I have 50 gallons of antifreeze in my.
There you go. You follow it.
Jamie,
You follow it.
Jamie will fix it if it breaks.
If it breaks, I'll.
Do we have another?
We go first.
We do a payment one, but, so, Bill, you wanna jump into this? This one shouldn't take as long.
So he has, on item 9A-2 tomorrow, this is the SR 68 2100 South, California. This was a pavement job. It was in the Purple Book program, which deals with just the pavement. What the region would like to do is the pavement has varying widths out there, and they would like to square everything all up and also be able to do curb and gutter, as well as some drainage work, a dual trunk line and that's just some drainage work. So because of that, it moves it out of what is qualified for the typical Purple Book program. So I wanted to kind of just cover the ramifications of making this move from this project being in the purple to a standalone project is what it would be. So the four things that occur, first of all, it would reduce the Purple Book program by $3.9 million. Now, the Purple Book program, is the amounts that are distributed in that are by asset management, which is based off of our pavement condition. And so we're basically kind of violating a little bit, saying it's not a pavement project anymore, we're gonna do additional work to it, but because the majority of the work is still pavement, we feel like it can still use that Purple Book money. We did this last year when we took projects out of the Purple Book program and moved them into the major rehabilitation program, which is what this project would do as well. So it'd move it from first of all, reduce the Purple Book program by the $3.9 million. It moves the project off of the Purple Book list, and then it moves it into a standalone project, which we would add it to the major rehabilitation list. And Structures has some structural work that they would like to do, and so they're looking to add some additional work. So visually, here's the rehabilitation program. This was programmed in 2012. So at the last STIP workshop, this was the bucket that you saw that it was already programmed, so this is where that project was sitting. We had 30 million that we'd put in the major rehabilitation program. And so it would move from this bucket down into this bucket. That's the easiest way to look at that. This is where it was located in the Purple Book program, so this line would disappear out of that. And then it would be added into this major rehabilitation line, which is this line right here. So to capture what we did when we put these in, these major gotta say this right, these, I'm gonna call them Purple Books. We took the Purple Books projects that had pavement funding in them and moved them out. That Purple Book money stayed with the projects. They became standalone projects, but the majority of the work was still pavement, so there still was a pavement benefit. It just is no longer in that. So we wanted to track those funds that came with that. So 2 years ago, we had the rehabilitation share that came with those projects, so we're in the major rehabilitation projects. And so this one would be added to that. It's the 2014 money, it'd be 3.9 million of the Purple Book money, which would come with this project, and this is where it would fall. So right now, with the 3.9 million, there's 28.4 million of 2014 Purple Book money in the major rehabilitation category. Again, the majority of the work is pavement, but we're doing some drainage work, curb and gutter on this case, things that were outside that Purple Book program.
So the 3.9 million still sufficient to do all that?
Yes, I called the program manager at Region 2 and just verified that. He said it wasn't his design. You have to know the program manager there. But he did look at it and he said that that's what they have. So we're hoping we'll get there.
You know, we kind of have our, you know, part of why this seems so complicated is we've put constraints or applied discipline to keep project scopes from growing. And so our goal was to take care of pavements. So we created an Orange Book program, which is meant to treat pavements 1.5 inches thick. That's it. So it's basically preservation. But we have very limited other types of work that we need to consider when we do those types of jobs. And it's part of a partnership we have with Federal Highways to try to make sure that we're putting as much of our money towards the pavements. Purple Book was yet another category. Again, the goal to keep more money on pavements. And so what we did is we negotiated with Federal Highways the types of things our engineers would consider, you know, and it's mostly around the safety arena, that they would consider within those projects. So, but when we get out there and we start scoping it and we ask ourselves, are we not doing the right thing because we put these constraints around ourselves? That's where we have to come back on a case-by-case basis. And basically, you know, Purple Book, on the STIP, it's just a program amount, a dollar value. And then the commission has a subsequent action to approve a Purple Book list. So the commission still approves it at a project level, but Federal Highways and FTA just approves it at that program level. And so now we're gonna have to take it out of that Purple Book program and make it a standalone, what we typically call a Blue Book project here at UDOT. And it's in the STIP, has its own identity, and basically it allows a little widening of scope.
Well, then all it is change the classification and it doesn't violate the purpose.
No,
Right.
exactly.
Just about.
You're still keeping the discipline intact though.
The 3.9 initially was for
Just for
specifically
pavement.
pavement. Now 3.9 will include something other than pavement.
Curb and gutter and some drainage.
But not it's not like it's 80% of the project is now curb and gutter. It's more like 80% of the project's pavement and there's 20% of other things added. So it does slightly take away from the overall program, but it's the right thing to do at the right time.
So you don't have any concerns about setting a precedent for future project?
Well, I mean, that's the reason, you know, we have a lot of discipline in place here in that it needs to come to the commission. We need to have these open discussions. And one of the things Shane wants to do is to look at our Purple Book program and see if the constraints we put on the program are keeping us from doing the right thing. You know, our region's not wanting to go through this type of exercise. And are we keeping them from making decisions that maybe they shouldn't be taking? So.
I don't have a
change the
problem with it.
timeline by moving from the Purple Book to STIP.
Good question. Will the project be delayed?
No, same timeline. And then the last thing is structures is requesting to add 296,000 to this. So the total project value would be 4.221. So it allows them to do the structure work, allows them to do the curb and gutter plus the drainage, which they felt benefit the pavement. If they didn't do that, the pavement would probably not last as long, and so they feel like they're taking care of the pavement at the same time, but again, that work was outside the purple book.
Where's the 300,000 coming from for the bridge preservation?
It's from balances that's available in their
In their,
bonds, yeah, so
so
it'll be
we'll just move it from their fund
into this
To this
project.
into this project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry it's so complicated.
Sounds like a winner, Bill.
We believe it's the right thing
I think it sounds like the right thing to do.
Well, Shane's gonna take that on, what he wants to do, is to look at that program.
I can see, I mean, you're doing this stuff, it's gonna preserve the,
Long
the
term,
asphalt anyway,
fixing
so
the drainage is the
pavement.
right thing to do, yes.
For
Yeah.
instance, if we're in a rural area, we have a purple book project and we find 6 culverts that need to be replaced. Currently, we couldn't replace them.
Yeah.
We'd have to do this, so we wanna say, hey, is that the right thing to do? Should we
Should
not
we
take
change
care
our
of what
purple
we
book to
have?
accommodate that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, delays cost money too, don't they? Sometimes lots of money.
Yeah.
I think we-
So,
But
those
you-
were the two items we wanted to just, because this was kind of convoluted, and the other one was, I think, a little bit more unknown for us, where the commission might want to go. So those are the two items we had on the staff list today. So, I'm anticipating we have a bus here soon, Leanne?
Yeah, it's
Is it?
here, they're just
And it's got
putting
coolant in it yet?
stuff in it.
They're working on it.
They got a cube of ice for everybody to sit on. They're just strapping them in place now.
Looks like a rock star van, though, a rock star bus.
Yeah.
Everybody gets their own seat this time,
It's a rock star van.
and then some.
Just don't turn the air on.
It was.
Does everyone know each other's? Would it be helpful if we just did quick introductions?
Yeah, I think it would be.
Okay. Good, we'll start off.
Bill Lawrence, UDOT Programming.
I'm Rex Harrison, the program manager here in the region.
I'm Bob Telly, I'm the STIP coordinator.
Shane Marshall, deputy director.
Carlos Brazeras, director.
Linda Hull, Policy Legislative Services.
John Gleason, Public Information Officer for UDOT.
Nagi Zanadia, Commissioner Region 4.
Eddie Cox, Commissioner at Large.
Jamie Evans, contractor.
Richard Kohler, Architect.
Ed Cooper, Ash Grove Smith.
James Christian with Federal Highway Administration.
Wayne Barlow, Commissioner, Region 1.
Dan McConkey, large commissioner.
He's gonna get himself in trouble, we have to watch him. He's a bachelor.
Well, I had a cookie for lunch today, so look out.
Kent Millington, Region 3.
Dave Adamson, Region 1, pre-construction engineer.
And if you don't know who I am.
We're in
you
trouble.
don't need to know.
We're in trouble. Tell us your life story.
My life story.
World traveler.
We're killing time.
Where's your printer
Are
up
we
there?
done?
What's that?
Where's your printer up there?
Oh,
You have to ask Carlos if he's done, I don't know. Is this
Are we
meeting
done?
over?
I'm sorry?
Are we done?
We're done.
Okay.